is an interview that literally has been something I have wanted to do my entire career, which sounds pretentious because it's not like I've been here forever. But as long as I've been at ESPN, the work of Jack Black, particularly your work, Jack, with Tenacious D, and for those that don't know, I'm not going to do Tenacious D for Dummies, but Google it, look it up, the album, the movie, the catalog of music. And Jack, I feel like we stole so much of your stuff. I stole so much of your stuff early on when I was trying to prove my chops here on the set that I feel like there could have been a cease and desist, but if anyone would understand that it was a tribute, I would hope it would be you.
No, it's the opposite of thievery. You pumped us up. You gave us a shout out. I think you were the first actually to shout out That's Levitation, Holmes.
Correct.
If I'm not mistaken, and we were stoked.
Really?
Because that's where Tenacious D came from. It came from sports talk radio, and it was all about tenacious defense. So for you to jump on the Tenacious D bandwagon early was a huge boost.
Right on. That's cool to find out. And you have been part of massive, massive projects, hugely successful, box office numbers, whatever, critically acclaimed things. And yet I have a theory that your fans from Tenacious D, while they might not represent the largest number of fans, I would guess that their level of passion is unmatched among your group of fans. Is that accurate?
Well, yeah, the D fans are the hardcore fans of my career, and it really is how my career got started. Before I had anything going, me and Kyle started Tenacious D and wrote these funny little songs and sketches, and that's how I got my first big role in a movie, High Fidelity, and John Cusack was digging Tenacious D, and so yeah, I always remember that and go, I'll never give up on the D.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well, but literally, Jack, I mean, the legs remain, because when I saw that you're at a music festival and you make some allusion to the fact that there's a sequel to The Pick of Destiny, and then when you've been asked about an album this year, you keep saying probably. So, I mean, if I can nudge you a little bit here with a tour coming in the fall, I mean, is it tour in the fall in support of an album or a movie or both? What are we looking at here?
Well, I don't want to spill all the beans, but
all right,
there is a movie and there is a record coming this year.
Okay.
Some people call it a sequel to The Pick of Destiny, but truly it's not. It's just the further adventures of Tenacious D, and it's an animated feature, and it will be coming to you in some way, somehow this year.
Okay. The concern I have about the tour that's coming in the fall is this. And we're taping this so we can beep this out, but you're the one that told us that the road is hard, right?
Yeah.
And the road is tough. And so we're all a little longer in the tooth these days, and you're going to go out East Coast, West Coast. Are you prepared for what it takes to deliver the D to the people?
Truth be told, it's one of my greatest passions and greatest pleasures in life is getting out on stage and rocking in front of a crowd of D fans. And I get a huge adrenaline blast that gets these old bones a-rocking once again. Have no fear.
Okay, but also, do you feel like you have the proper T-shirt inventory? Because to do proper gigging, we know that the proper T-shirt needs to be available. And I mean, I would imagine now that there's finer cotton maybe than back in the old days, but still got to have the right T-shirt.
This isn't really Tenacious D gear I'm wearing right now. Lately, I've just been sporting the XXL animal face tee.
Sure, I saw that.
I might update the wardrobe for this tour. We'll see.
All right.
I've been spending a lot of time on Amazon Prime checking out the latest inventories.
My producer asked me, are you literally going to talk to Jack Black? You're going to get a chance to talk Jack Black, and you're only going to talk about Tenacious D? And my answer was the same as your album answer. I said probably. But since you're sitting down, and since I know that you are a sports fan, and since you're an LA guy, I'll ask one Lakers question. With LeBron coming to town, I don't know, is there a buzz that will ignite a passion in not just you, but all of LA for this Laker team again?
I am so excited. I can't even believe it's real that we got LeBron. This is a dream come true for me. I didn't dare to believe it when everyone was like, guys, reports have it, LeBron's coming. I was like, no, he's not. That's bogus. And now that he's here, I'm just sort of floating on a cloud. However, my usual go-tos for like courtside tickets have not been calling me back lately.
Imagine that.
I think those tickets have gotten quite spicy pricey. But I'll just say this, my courtside percentage of when I'm sitting courtside, how often do the Lakers win? 100%. So if anyone in the Laker front office, Magic, if you're listening, I think it's in the best interest of the Lakey Lakes to get Jables up front and center, bro.
I think Cage and Jables, because you're in support of the tour and all these projects, they need to have, you know, high-profile guys sitting there in the fancy animal tees. And I think we'll make this happen, Jack. From your
I haven't
lips
seen
to
the other
his
Jack,
ears.
Jack Nicholson lately.
Yeah?
I think he's going to be probably there, though, this season. But just remember the Jables, who was there through the tough times, too.
And now you're going to be back out on the road, man. In all sincerity, I don't get fired up I mean, I enjoy my job, but to get a chance to actually talk to you after all these years was something I was really looking forward to. It made me dig through an old milk carton of all things for a bootleg from Orlando House of Blues 2002, Saxaboom.
Oh,
Yeah.
Was it 2002?
It was. It's been a while.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. But you've been rocking with the D since 97 or 98, if you were into the episodes on HBO. Well, this is an interview 20 years in the making right here.
It is. It is. And I was thinking
Dude,
about
virtual high
Sasquatch
five.
on the drums. Boom. There we go. Not a power trio, but this duo right here is one I'll remember, Jack. All the best.
Dude,
to you.
lifetime backstage pass for you.
My man. We'll see you somewhere. Seriously, I'll come in Boston. If you see a big bald guy jumping around, I'm going to be giving like the backstage point.
It's on for real.
My man. Joined now by Academy Award winner Matthew McConaughey, whose film Serenity opens January the 25th. Look forward to talking to him about that project. But Matthew, given the venue here, I feel I'd be remiss if I did not at least begin to give you an opportunity to talk about your beloved Texas Longhorns and the thumping that they delivered to Georgia in your presence in the Sugar Bowl, sir. Your level of optimism right now about UT football's what?
High, very high, and realistically high. I mean, look, we've been talking about where we needed to be and where we were going for quite a few years, and there's real resonance now that we are on our way to being where we need to be. You know, alignment was a word early on that Tom Herman came in, and we are getting aligned. There's one color that's around that campus and through that team right now, and it's burnt orange, and with that comes more victories. I'm really happy about where we're going.
Tom's a neat guy, isn't he? What have you thought about your interactions with him?
Number one, his mind is incredibly quick. It's almost like a mathematician.
Yep.
Secondly, he's obsessed. And I mean, he goes in a zone around game time. I've learned to pick my spots where I can interject or bring up something, because he goes in a zone and he locks everything else out. And I understand that because it's sort of what I do when I go to work. It's like I got to turn the rest of the world off, and he's in that zone during the football season the entire time.
Now, you interacted with my man, Stanford Steve, back in Austin, back when SC was in town. And I've had many ways, the meeting has been described to me a number of ways. I just want to know, how quickly into you all saying hello was he badgering you to come on and visit with us here on the show?
I think it was his opening. and I told him, I said, I've wanted to come on the show. I don't know why and how it's taken this long for me to come on this show. And he goes, well, hey, guess what? We'd love to have you. I said, well, I'd love to be there. Let's make this happen. Yeah, I think it was the opening. And then, you know, through the game, and then I looked down and he caught my eye and he did that silly OU hand signal that they do, since they don't really have one, which is grabbing our signal and turning it upside down.
He didn't do
our hand
that.
sign. He did it, yeah. And I said, oh, yeah, that's exactly what we need. We need that resistance. We love it.
And you still came on, which we appreciate. And you've done us the great favor of stopping by. And look, we understand how the game works, so you got something to talk about. And I'm curious about it, because you get many options. You could do films. You could say yes to this, no to that. What was it about Serenity that was appealing to you?
Original story, original script, something unique, something I don't read that often that I'm looking for, something that I read and I say, hey, you know what, if I've got a choice of 20 films in front of me, this is the one I want to go see. And that's what it was on the page. It's a mystery, it's a whodunit. And it's not full escape. This movie will manipulate you. It will pull the rug out from under your feet just when you feel securely on your feet. And I enjoy those type of movies, being taken on the trip, being set up for the ruse and having the rug pulled out from under my feet. And it's thrilling.
Well, those are the films you want, the ones that make you think a week, a month, a year out down the road when you have a conversation about it. And it sounds like that's what this is.
I like those.
I've written a word down here on this card that I want to ask you about. It's not even really a question, it's more an idea. And that word is craft. Every accomplished person I encounter, athlete, coach, actor, businessman or woman, whatever, there's an idea of craft and mastering craft, and yet we don't ever really own it, right? There's always a process where you're trying to refine it, you're trying to sharpen it, you're trying to maintain it. For you at this stage of the game, what is your process as it relates to craft?
Yeah. You know, to use a golf term, I'm always saying, like, look, I'm trying to cut my handicap a little bit more.
Okay.
And I've still got a ways to go. You know, the difference with the arts and sports, and what I love about sports, is there is a clean measurement. In the arts, it's different. So how do I get off every day? How do I look forward to Monday? How do I, you know, when I feel like I always do, a month into shooting, oh, I've got this. How do I brush off that complacency and say, wait a minute, you're not scared enough about going into work Monday. You're not as scared as you should be, McConaughey. So let's dig back into what we have to do, our work, again, preparation, and look at it in another way that makes you uncomfortable. My job is I want to show up to work with an arsenal. I want to show up loaded, ready. I want 5 different versions of telling the truth on my man that I'm playing that day, where you can throw anything at me. Another actor can throw anything at me, a director can throw anything at me, and I'm going to dance with it, and we're going to play. Because the work, like most things, the work, real work, comes before the making of the movie. The making of the movie, that's when we play. Just like in sports, the work is in the off season. The work is in the 3 months for me leading up to the role, to be prepared, to wonder what the hell I'm going to do with the role. How am I going to do it? And then by the time I get to ding, ding, it's in the ring, let's go to work, I throw all that out. And if I've done the work, it's moved from my brain to my gut, to my loins, down to my heels, and it's instinctive by that point.
Listen, you could do a million of these, Matthew, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to sit down and visit with me. Over the years, whether it's with Russillo on the radio or sitting here, I just enjoy the conversation clearly, so I appreciate you indulging me with it.
I do too. I'm a fan. You know, we got a few things in common, obviously Redskin fans. I'm glad we're not playing Maryland anymore. You're probably not. And
out of respect, I didn't bring it up. But, you know, 0-2, and I'm doing it 0-2, bro.
Yo, we're a buzzsaw, man. You're a buzzsaw.
We enjoyed it.
And also, hey, thank you for in all the work that you do, for not putting a highlight on the lowest common denominator just to make clickbait, as some other people do. Keep it up.
My man, I appreciate that greatly. All the best with this film and all the others that come, Matthew. Be well, all right?
You as well, Van Pelt.
We talk about GOATs a lot in sports, the greatest of all time, and who you believe to be the GOAT in whatever sport really depends on the era you're from. Maybe you'll say it's MJ, or it's Tiger Woods, or it's Tom Brady, whatever the case might be. If we're talking about hip-hop, and we're talking about the greatest of all time, there's no question that I'm sitting in the presence of one of the all-time greatest MCs, and that's Rakim. And I always say it's like ice cream, right? It's like, what flavor do you like? But undeniably, when it comes to the lists of the greatest of all time, you're on those lists. For me, you're at the top, which is this is mind-boggling to me.
Thank you, bro.
But when you hear that, whether it's my list or whoever's list, what does that represent to you now?
Hard work. You know, when I hear things like that, a lot of things that I went through in my career, and you know, the hard work and the sacrifices that I, you know, had to, you know, go through, it puts everything in perspective for me. You know what I mean? So when I hear that, and you know, I get accolades here and there, it makes me feel like, you know, I put the work in, and that's the result of it.
How do you grow older in a genre where youth is king? How do you do it?
You remember what you did or remember what you do that attracted people to you. I think if you do what you do best and continue to do that, I think later on even the younger artists will look up and respect that.
I'm curious, like, I look at, say, like the Beastie Boys before Yacht passed, and I felt like they were doing it well. They were evolving, you know, musically, lyrically, whatever, but they continued to do it. Like, for you, what's the appeal of new music? And I ask this very greedily for those that are just, I was listening to, like, The Master, I was listening to the 18th Letter, like, I'm listening to this stuff coming in, and I'm thinking, well, I'm gonna ask him, I'll go ahead and say, how about a new album? Like, what's the appeal of that?
Well, yeah, I definitely don't want to get complacent. I'm kind of eager to put some new music out, man. I feel it's a lot I gotta say, and it's a lot going on, so it's a good time right now to just, you know, bring a little bit more of that Rakim back. I think so.
My colleague Bomani Jones and I were going back and forth on Twitter, and I mentioned something about you, and he had an amazing perspective. I want to share with you what he said. He said, Rakim is you are rap Sam Cooke, the smooth cat so many people wanted to sound like, to the point where young cats missed that he is the point of origin for almost every rapper they ever loved. I think that's a hell of a compliment. How does that resonate with you?
I'm a modest dude, you know what I mean? Hearing that gives me a chance to, you know, look from the outside in and appreciate my work through the listener's eyes, man. So, you know, hearing that, let me know I did something right, man. And, you know, to get reference from Sam Cooke, you know, I grew up off of that, you know, songwriter, composer, activist, you know, hell of an artist, you know, so big up Bomani, man.
And songwriter is the key, because there's no questioning the lyrical genius that you are. And I realize this is an impossibility, and maybe it's even almost corny, and I hope it isn't. But if I ask you for a line, or really it's a line or a lyric that for you, you say, that's me. You want to know what Rakim is? It's a line that represents what your approach was, who you were. Is there a lyric you could choose?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I think it'll be a lyric in the 18th letter, you know, about the first 8 bars of the 18th letter. Really, that whole song kind of personifies what I do, and you know, I kind of wrote that, you know, after being gone for a while. Kind of wanted everybody to remember what I love doing, what I do, and who I am. So.
That album includes the line, "Me and the microphone are still magnetic."
Yes, sir. Yes,
and
sir.
and that's still the case today, isn't it?
Yes, sir, man. Can't stop, man. You know, 51 years old. Still feel good, you know what I mean? But
touring this summer, coming
rapping.
to a town
yes, sir.
near you, right?
Yes, sir. Me and Eric B, you know, we out there rocking, bringing back the '86 golden era. You know, for those that want to come out and enjoy, come on out, man, and check us out. We doing what we do.
Be out in California, be with the Wu-Tang. You can check out where he'll be near you. And if you're on the East Coast, anywhere around August the 1st, Coney Island, that has to be meaningful on so many levels to be able to come back there August the 1st, right?
No doubt. Yes, sir. I mean, Coney Island is you know, coming up. I remember Pops taking me there for hot dogs, man. And, you know, for it to go through what it did and them to build it back up, it's a beautiful place. Brooklyn is loving it, and to be able to perform there, man, is you know, an honor. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I don't hold the microphone like a grudge, man. I'm just happy to be able to put it on and sit out here and do my thing. And it's moments like these that are mind-boggling to me, to be able to be with an artist who I have listened to for so long and be able to share the set with you. I don't know what to say other than thank you. Continued blessings to you, man. Do your thing. I appreciate you.
Sir,
the great
peace and love.
Rakim.